Hey everybody, off the top rope here, off the Mike Sports Network. Been doing a little bit more sports content because we've gotten through WrestleMania week, and obviously we'll have SmackDown coming up on Friday, which is the first SmackDown after WrestleMania. But wanted to talk about NXT because it seems like I always have to come through with these ratings and these numbers that come through. And Dynamite had a really bad week. And I know some of it was because, hey, they were preempted by NHL coverage with my Los Angeles Kings, actually. The Kings are up 2-0 on the defending Western Conference champion Edmonton Oilers, for you hockey fans out there. But also there was NBA playoffs are in full swing. Cleveland Cavaliers up 2-0, number one seed in the Eastern Conference. Hey, watch out for the Cavs. I'm inserting some sports in here. This is what this channel is all about. But Dynamite, despite having a ton of ads throughout Vegas, and running maybe their best show in at least of 2025 and their best show in a long time for Dynamite, from a Dynamite perspective, they follow it up, get 521,000 viewers, 0.14 in the 1849. Meanwhile, NXT the night before went 686 and a 0.17. Guys, I've been saying this consistently for weeks, and part of this is also the card that they put out was not great. Yes, the preempted part of it plays a role into the number falling, and I would imagine they would course correct a little bit more when they're not being preempted by NHL hockey coverage. That being said, AEW had a chance to really, take advantage of an opportunity, and they have fumbled a massive opportunity here to maybe get some goodwill back into some of the casual people, to increase their viewership and convince them that, hey, maybe AEW is more viable than we think it is. Coming off of what was, in my opinion, one of the better Dynamites maybe ever. And at least in the last couple of years, this was one of the best individual standalone Dynamite episodes. From top to bottom, they had great matches, great stories that were going on throughout the show, and then an amazing finish with the Ops winning the Trios championships. This week, it was back to the same shit. You had Jamie Hayter win in the main event, which was great, and I've got my doubts on where that's going. And then you've just got random tag matches, and the Young Bucks have a match with Kevin Knight and Mike Bailey. Then you had Will Ospreay teaming with Brody King against the Don Callis family. And it's just a bunch of nonsense again. And, they're building, and there's some stuff in there that was, like I said, it wasn't the worst episode of Dynamite, but given the opportunity that they were given with all the goodwill and all the praise that they got. And then on top of it, WrestleMania was kind of a dud in a lot of respects. It wasn't like the worst WrestleMania I've ever seen, but if you paid attention to this channel and if you paid attention to the IWC and wrestling Twitter and wrestling social media anywhere, WrestleMania was not as great as it could have been. So this was an opportunity for Tony Khan and for AEW, especially with all the ads that they threw up in Vegas, to potentially, pounce on a potential opportunity. And they put out a lackluster card. They knew they were already fighting a losing battle with being preempted and, airing coast to coast, which was going to hurt ratings in some respect. Some people use the Max excuse. I think the Max excuse has been played out. That's kind of lame. The average person is going to watch it on basic television. So they could have done a better job of promoting that. And then, like I said, you put out this lackluster card, you put out a bunch of uninteresting stuff, and you don't really follow up in a way that I think you could have, especially given all the negative publicity that WWE was getting before and after WrestleMania. So, again, getting trounced by NXT. And NXT was kind of a okay, follow up to it was kind of an okay follow up to Stand and Deliver. Granted, Stephanie Vaquer and Roxanne Perez had an amazing match, and Noam Dar returned. Joe Hendry was on that show, which was completely unannounced, so nobody knew that was going to happen. And again, NXT's been beat since the CW launch. NXT has regularly been beating AEW. So all of you fans that are trying to tell me that everything is good and grand in AEW, because, hey, Max is available. Guys, this has been going on since October. This has been going on since October. So the imaginary number that you think is watching on Max, that's just I don't know where you're getting that number from. And again, this is just a massively fumbled opportunity for them, especially after the way that they screwed things up last year where they sunk like about 10-15% of their audience because they wanted to get one up on CM Punk, and they made CM Punk look like more of a saint when he basically told the story on Ariel Hawani's show. And then, Tony Khan decided to just air the footage and say, fuck him. And that didn't turn out very well because, again, like I said, they lost about somewhere around 10 to 20% of their audience. Like they dropped like about, like I'd say about 100, 200,000 viewers in the last year since then. Like they were regularly up in the 800,000 range. Now they're down at like I said, they're they're circling at 500,000. Granted, there were some extenuating circumstances this week with, the way programming was, and like, they had to like, coast to coast, but there wasn't anything there. And then they're following up NBA playoff coverage on Saturday, and Swerve Strickland's facing Blake Christian, the same Blake Christian who got dumped by Cora Jade. What? Vanilla Baby? That's who you're having Swerve Strickland face right after NBA playoff coverage? Good job. Good job, AEW. Never change. It's just, guys, you're living in an alternative reality if you think that this is good. There's not a lot of story there. There's just a bunch of random matches. And then, like the story with, the Death Riders may be playing out a little bit, but Samoa Joe's going to lose. And then we're just going to get to Anarchy in Arena. It's going to be the same shit in a different year. We're going to do a whole bunch of crazy shit. And what's it going to mean? We're just holding on until we get to All In Texas. And then the optimism that I have with that they're going to do the right thing with the women's division, I'm not very optimistic about it at all. So, we'll see. But again, AEW missing a big opportunity to really capitalize on the momentum that they had, and also the negative press that was going on with WWE from, basically a lackluster or an underwhelming 2 nights of WrestleMania, the whole Rock situation, him, kind of just, shitting all over himself with that dumb interview and just the publicity that he's been doing. And, everything that was leading up to and from it, like, the Tony Hinchcliffe stuff's become a problem. Like, WWE has not had a good run lately. Let's just call it what it is. I think some of it's been blown out of proportion, but again, missed opportunity. They fumbled the bag here. So you're only going to get so many more of these opportunities. So thanks so much for watching here off the top rope. We'll have a lot more sports content, obviously, with the draft, NBA playoffs, a lot of stuff going on. But thank you all to who have subscribed to this channel. It means the world to me. We're approaching 1150 on subscribers at the time of this recording. Thanks so much. I will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.